You are an extremely brave man, and being here, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, really well done.
Thank you.
And you were actually a boy. You were actually just a boy.
No, I was just a child. So
yeah. So tell us a little bit about what happened. How did you actually get to Denmark?
Well, when we was actually in the refugees camp, my motivation was that going to school. And when we sit with the elders, who will tell us that what the Arab did to us, the Muslim did to us. So it given us motivation. For me, one of the things that I really would like to do is that go to school, study heavy education, be a doctor, and help the people. And also go back to war to be a soldier because, being around soldiers is giving you another thinking of this guy that are more men than the others, because when somebody tell you that I'm fighting for your right, if you should not think for anything else, then you might think as a child that when I grow up and be strong enough, so I will actually go back for the revenge and actually find those who destroy my life. I mean, burn down the house, that mean a lot. The local church that I used to go in, even though it was Christian, it was not the issue at that time, but the church was mean a lot to us because that was only the local club that we can all unite. We find each other. So and then this old man they talking about the going to the school and all this. So they motivate us. Until we have this in mind, one day we will go to school. But where? We never know this. Until the UNHCR came to collect, they was actually looking for protection cases. Protection cases that was actually more people in need. Because you can find thousands or millions of people actually in the refugees camp. And everybody would like to come to USA or Australia or Canada or Europe or Denmark. Yeah. But at that time, so I was away doing my usual business. Then I came back from the compound because the compound that we are in, it's like 40 to 50 guys living in one circle, and those people that have no any relative. They just people who get together. They are brother in the struggle. So at that time, when there's an opportunity come, they always selected the people that they might think, oh, this people is good for us in a long term. Maybe they will be looking at how you take care of your school, how you take care of yourself, and how you can actually manage it to help the society if you get chance to go far away to go to school. So when I come back home, they've been distribute these protection cases where they told the community to find people, and then they will form a family, not biological family, but you can actually mix the family, and then it look like yours, because in somehow they are relative, but they're really family. They will say, okay, these 4 boys, they will be going to the place. So I came home. My uncle, which actually relatively to us, I was staying with him in refugees camp, the last refugees camp that we was in. It's not, and then they were talking about giving this form away. So there was one place for me to be put in, so I could join the other 3 boys. So then we form a family of 4 people, which is 4 brothers. And then actually we hear that we came to Denmark, and then we took that case and we went to interview, and we passed the interview, and then that's how the process go. And then that was it. And then from the interview, then we was actually waiting to come to somewhere. Like, we don't know exactly where we're going. I hear Denmark, but I never know what Denmark is, because in my mind I thought every white people come from England. They're English people. So unless there was actually one day where I was playing, there was this one chewing gums with names on it. Like, at that time, the well-known players in the world, you can find the chewing gum and you take the photo out of it, and there's a name and where they come from. Okay. So that time, then I found the guy, Peter Michael, is from Denmark at that time. Okay. And because I never see TV, we don't have a TV at that time. I didn't see how Peter Michael looked like and what he does. But when the guys come, those who like football, they say, there's this guy from Denmark. As a goalkeeper, is like a tiger. It's the best. And then, so by the stories that they tell about Peter Michaels, it making me interested to find Peter Michaels, photo on that one. So I always go to buy this chewing gums. You never know that which picture you get. And I've been actually tried 5 times, and I'm wasting all my money on just finding him. But then I always get Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, and there was
boring.
a guy from Holland called Climates and Davids. All these players, I don't need them, I need Peter. And then at the time, one day, one friend of mine that he had 4 of the same guy, and then we just exchange. I give him mine. He was looking for Zinedine Zidane, and then I give him Zinedine Zidane, and then he gave me Peter Schmeichel. And then from there, yeah, my dream come true. I was like a kid that get money from confirmations. So, then that's when actually I find out what Denmark and where we go. So when we hear it, now guys, we're going to Denmark. So I was excited that, yes, I will go to Denmark to go to school. That was actually what they told us.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually, I feel as a responsibility that I'm taking, because these guys, it should be another person that been given, but they think, oh, that is a good kid. We should replace him. We should give him a chance to go somewhere so he can go and help us build this nation.
Mm-hmm.
So we were then selected in certain way. So then we formed this group with my new brothers. And yes, and that's how we come to Denmark.
So more or less, how old were you? You already told us that you don't know exactly, but more or less, is it around 15 or is?
Yeah, at that time it was 12.
12.
And if the reality is that I should be 15 at that time. So I don't know exactly how they come up into the birthday. I don't know which birthday they give. I think those from Cameroon, they have take somebody's birthday and give it to me, because even today, finding my mom later on and told me you was not born on 6th September, but sometime in December. Like, okay. So, but I think they were just faking something to make this happen. And yes, and here we are.
Maybe it was a footballer's
birthday.
Birthday. Who knows?
Okay, so you got a 12-year-old stamp when you arrived to Denmark. Okay. But according to your mom, you're older.
I was born in 86, 85, yeah.
Okay, something around that.
So
the premise of this whole program that you mentioned, so they are selecting the kids who, because you mentioned they look the way you act,
the way you carry yourself.
So
within
basically,
this community.
It's like looking at the potential.
Looking for the potential, yeah, somehow, because we have this small tribe or lineage group. So when you give them something, they will trying to find the way they use to solve problems and how they distribute food and all the good things. So for them, it's very important that they look into what God been giving them as a gift. But of course, the UN didn't tell them go and look for this. But of course, they call a protection case, the people in need, then must actually get this help. And they did in their own way. The elders, they select people that way. So they take one from this family and from this family, and then they form the family, and then they make it to where they're going to come.
And the premise is that you will get a good education somewhere, and then you will come back to rebuild the country. Is that the whole, let's say, the general idea?
It is, because at that time in my village, you can sell all the cows to send the kid to school.
Yeah.
School is a big thing at that time, because you get a free school, and people mean that when you go to school, you will be able to teach, you will be able to treat people. You will be a doctor. You will be a good leader. You will bring the development home. The thing that we didn't get, that because that we didn't go to school, and the country that we take away from us, that we can get it back if we all go to school and have education, basic education. So it was. It was a big deal to us at that time to go to school.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like like something that also gives hope to the entire nation. When you are thinking in these terms that you want to send the kids somewhere so they gain the education, they can come back. But before Marta will continue with the next point, I just wanted to make a small remark. I was just thinking about when you were talking how people, especially men, and how storytelling plays a huge role in a refugee camp, and also it somehow have a function of an education and shaping the young minds of boys. And when you were telling that there are different feelings. There is a feelings of boys should get education, but also be soldiers to take some vengeance, to get the country back. So I assume that in some aspects this could become a little bit difficult and probably also toxic. Would you say that? if, for instance, you are encouraged to instead of filling yourself with hope and motivation to learn, more like motivation for vengeance and to fight back. What? That's just my question.
Yeah, it would actually been because child is whenever what you plan on their head, what
Exactly.
they're growing. So if you've been telling them that shoot to kill, they will shoot to kill. You know, so that's like what this older's been giving us, this lectures that they've been giving us, is what actually form us to be who we were at that time. So we was actually forming to go to school. It was one of the things. We was actually touched to kill or to revenge is something else that we had. So so that actually it can be difficult at that time because the child didn't have alone as a child that you can do what you feel, but it seems like the community is actually growing you to form you to what they want. I mean, to destination that they want you to be.
Yeah, because I could imagine it's a very hermetic environment. It's not like home when you are going around talking with different neighbors, listening to different things. And you are a very tight community because you only have each other. So
and if they lost as a community, also you lost because the things even right now when I discovered it, more stories about my background. Some of the thing I used to say, we do this. But when I find the people back home after the reunion with my family again, I find out actually I took wrong because I was growing up in refugees where I was not home. So there were the home before that. So and but I learned from the refugees camp, from the people that was there. So they pick up something which was only from that area, from that place. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. But congratulations because you strike as a person with a very good energy. And you don't really have any bitterness in you or anything. At least there are definitely, of course, some emotions that you have to cope with, but you have such a positive outlook and such a positive energy. And I think it's also a small victory for you as well, the inner one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I would like to ask you about how did you manage to establish your roots in Denmark?
Well, it actually took me also a time, just like it took me time also to realize that my mom wouldn't come to refugees camp. Because leaving home without even knowing exactly where your family is. And for all these years, even though I came to the places where there's no war, there's only peace, but the war was still in me. So I would go to school, I was easily to go fight people without any reason. But just because the hunger was still in me, the bitterness that I experienced in my childhood was still in me. So it was not easy actually to start with, but with the help, later on when I began to forgive, I forgive because before I had so much blame. I had a blame on Arabs, so I don't like people that was actually believing, who was not Christian but the Muslims, and I had this hatred against them when I actually see because I feel these are the people actually who chase me away, who killed my father. But later on, I find out exactly it's not the Muslims, it's not the Arabs, it's somebody else. And then I come to understand that, it was this Christianity that come. So it's a European that I should blame for coming and colonize and teach us. So, and the list can keep going and going, you know?
Exactly.
And then later on, I find out now I shouldn't blame anybody still except forgiving myself. I forgive myself. I forgive the people I thought that I should give blame to. I even actually forgive my own mom because my mom, I always have this thought that mom was actually abandoning me. She don't want to be here to pick me up in a refugees camp, so that I should live alone, like one who have no anybody. But hearing her story later on, it was telling differently that she didn't choose it. It's just something that has happened. She had the same way too, thinking, why my son is still alive or is he dead? I mean, even she been told that I'm doing well in a refugees camp or now to Europe. She was actually feeling that I'm not exist until the day that I went back home. Yeah, so finding my root in Denmark it has been tough, but it's actually later on I met this guy called Sven Løfner. He's a journalist and he actually was grown up in Africa. He's a Danish, but grew up born by a missionary. He's a missionary son that actually Their family went to Africa to preach the gospel at that time. So we've been feeling Sven was actually being a good support for us because we understand him more than other Danish. And I get chance also to learn by myself, like to find myself. I didn't get chance to listen to anyone. I was doing things by my own. And then later on I discovered that there's another side of me that I should bring out. What I'm seeing from the people, what they told me I was. So I begin to feel that, yes, my stories was it. I could not blame myself for what has happened to me, but I can change the future. And then that's when I come to find my root, begin to understand that I have to find my family, even though I say I don't want to talk to my mom and I want to find them. Later on, then I begin to find out where my mother is and talk to her for the first time on the phone after 16 years. After 16 years, and that's when I hear her voice and told me that now you have siblings, you have sisters and brothers that already born, because I didn't know them. And that when I will actually, and then begin to listen to all these old people who was giving me advice in the refugees camp. So I began to think, I owe these people something. I cannot just be gangster here and hearing 50 Cent, Tupac. And, I had bling bling and...
Did you really?
My jean was bigger than this, and my T-shirt is longer than, you can wear it as a dress at that time.
But that happens to everyone regardless of what they go through.
It happened because I feel like the rappers have something to tell. And I always feel like, I have a business too. I have something to tell them, 50 Cent got shot 9 times, but I've been seeing dead people at that age, so I feel like I have something to tell. He have nothing. I have also something that I experienced at that time. So and also when you around people that who don't really get you, you have to find way that they have to understand you. We are human. We need to be accepted, and you have to find something that people can accept you with. And that was only rap at that time, because I rap and I get more popularity at the area. And
of course.
The girls that were there and the guys too, so I got friends. But I would think if I have to tell the loser stories that I'm telling you today, that I will not get a friend. That's how I think as a child at that time. So I didn't want to share my story. I was putting it behind and then trying to catch up with something.
So who was your first family? Who was your first close person or people in Denmark?
When we came, we was this 4 boys, not biological brothers, but brothers, and we actually stay together as brothers even now. There are more brothers than my biological family, and I was the youngest one among the 4 guys. So we stay in a place called Gram, is in the southern part of Jutland. And then we stayed there, and the commune was actually coming to us, make sure that they cook for us, and they're waking up in the morning. And then there was Kirsten and Lise. They worked for the commune, but they were actually more attaching to us like a family. They were not just commune, but they even took us closer as a family to them. So that was actually the first family. The second family was Sven and Jede. That was actually a group that actually we come to bind. They're helping us actually we went to the same church with them, and we talk with them, we share a story, and they seem listening. So then that's because when you have a role model that thinks, it will actually making you think, wow, then I can be like them,
Yeah.
But you can listen to the person who just tell you your stories without putting them into action. As a child or as a person that who've been through a lot, we wouldn't listen to anyone. You need somebody to say, yes, I understand you, I know you got this, but I'm doing this, and small you can do it. Yeah. So there was Sven and Jede. Yeah.
Okay.
So with difficulties at the beginning, but with time you have established some roots here in Denmark. Is that well understood?
Yes.
And but I can also see that you are going through a very typical teenager things. That's I think it's now, because I have a daughter who is going into teenage years now, and when I imagine, and you were talking about this rap phase, and you want to impress people or get and coming with all this mental luggage and trying to be a teenager who goes for the very simple things like any other teenager, that's really tough. That is tough. So I have to say I'm really impressed by you, Reath.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I am.
Thank you.
And then you said it was very difficult for you, and at the beginning you did not want to talk to your mother, but with the time you found out that this is in some way to actually get the part of getting peace with yourself was actually to get peace with your
that's
mother.
When I find my roots again, and then begin to pick up the phone, connect with my mom, and later on in 2014 when I already find myself, because I was actually busy trying to find myself where I am as a person before helping others. So I began to reunion with my mother in 2013 for the first time after 19 years. That's when I met her in the refugees camp in Kakuma.
Okay.
So I went there to see her, and then I went through Kampala from Uganda, and then because I don't have a proper passport. I don't have passport today. I have my UN, the blue one, the travel document, and that's only what I have. So today, actually, you can asking me if the worst thing actually I find difficult is when I'm filling the form, when they're asking you what is your nationality. Because when I left Sudan, it was one Sudan. But while I was away, they separated. Now there's a South Sudan and Sudan.
Yes.
So, and my document is still that I was from Sudan. So right now, it's really difficult for me actually to fill the form in a way that it could be a correct way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So then I reunion with my mom after 19 years, and that when actually I feel that I found back the roots, because I begin to talk with my mother about the thing that I don't know from the beginning, from the everything, like asking questions, just like a little child. While the other siblings, well, they're younger than me, they already get those information because they grew up home. But for me, I had to get it. I had to start it from zero again, and just to be a good friend with my mom, and and normal actually the relation between the son and the mother is not always. It used to be often that way. It's always girls and the mother. But for me, in my situation now, it's my mother. And, it's a relation between the son and the mother, because I'm getting information that I didn't get as a child, because I didn't get a chance to get all those information.
And now you talk to your mom regularly or sometimes?
When time allows, yes. When, the Africa, the technology is still not there. You don't reach things that don't work just smoothly like it here in Denmark. So I have to buy a card. I have Leica mobile, which is actually, I have two phones. The small one is for Africa. I only use it to buy a card so I can talk to my mother. Because when we talk, it's not just 10 minutes. It's more than that. Because I'm getting his stories. I'm getting things that I miss out. So when I call her and I get chance, so I talk for the 1 hour and so on. And then my younger sibling which actually I put in, which together with her in the refugees camp in Kakuma, I talk to them through Wi-Fi. So whenever they get chance to come to the closer mountain to catch the Wi-Fi or to catch the internet if the network is not working, so then I can talk to them. So I talk to them through Facebook and Facebook Messenger as well.
Okay, so it does sound like you are at peace with yourself, like at this moment of your time, and you have actually established your family here in Denmark, where you have your own family already. You're actually the father that is building the roots for your daughter.
Exactly.
And we are having very few time until the end of the show, and I would like to ask that question that I said that I will ask
the
at the end.
Question?
Yes.
Yes.
So you've got 5 options. We are right now at coming back to the roots, and that's why we have invited you here, and we were talking about finding your roots when they've been stolen by the war. But we also have that question that Anna came up with.
Did I?
Yes.
Not my fault.
Yes. So I have decided to steal it with Grace and ask that question. In times of apocalypse, if apocalypse would come, how would your personal skills, what you have gone through, help you in this kind of situation? So suddenly there is, let's say apocalypse, there is no technology. Suddenly there is no electricity, no technology. How what you have gone through could help you survive?
Well, so to go back to all the roots again, so that how we run away from the village to find water, to survive, to find clean water, to, these are the things, the experience that I went through, that I will use them. And also to go and meet the new people that I never met before. Because, when I came to Denmark, I never knew that I would be in the places where I was surrounded by the white people as the majority. People, I come from the village where it's not normal to see the white person. But when I come to Gram, it become opposite, But with my experience now, it wouldn't be the same way. I wouldn't understand that there's a people there who might be not looking like me, or they have eyes, that would be something that I would still remember, that when I go to another place, there will be a change, there will be this experience that I can use. And we can go on and on. There's so many things that I learned through my journey. To be a child of war, come from the cattle camp to the refugees camp, and then to the places where with the first world country, where the things are accessible for everything, when it's easy for you to have access to anything, access to clean water, know how to pretend the light, you can dry a car. So the things are new to me. So by experience, that actually I could definitely survive. That way.
I would put my bet on you if like in Aarhus, there would be some post-apocalyptic event when there is no electricity. I would bet. First of all, I would find you. I will bring all the people I love next to you, and then I will make also a bet on you. I think when you look at the way we live, it's a very convenient, great way, but. I think we actually, that's one of the things about the season. We feel vulnerable because we don't really know that many things that are basic, And actually, we are very much dominated and managed by technology. So basically, yes, if there is an apocalypse, I'm calling you straight away. Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah. Because
I will try my best to save it.
Yeah, because you have gone through it on so many different levels, like you've mentioned. I mean, first of all, war is an apocalypse.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
So you have gone, and you have been through all that part of looking for water, looking for food, and so on, which is very basic, and we don't really know how to do it. And here, someone who has been raised like that, that's one thing. Second thing, you actually figure out how to start to make money in very basic society, so to speak. You've learned how to do business in this, post-apocalyptic times. Exactly. You've learned how to find yourself in a completely different surroundings, how to survive without your family, without your culture, country, and so on. So totally, you would be completely...
And I think also that the whole mental and emotional thing, because you were open that there were difficult moments, that there were things you have to cope with.
Even now, still, I'm struggling with sleeping.
Of course,
I sleep with the music to check away the nightmares and all this drama and trauma that I went through. Because if I sleep without music, I will not fall asleep. If I had to work in the morning, then I will sleep over, because that would take time for me to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So the same thing also again I would say that also with other things. It's just one of the example.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We are arriving.
I'm still working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are arriving at the very end of our show because it's a live show. So
they will just cut us from.
Dennis, our lovely technician, will just cut us out completely at any point of time. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming here and sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you for being you. Actually,
yeah, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.